Hey everybody, this is Sally Hendrick with Shout Your Cause, and I've got Akilah Thompkins-Robinson with Girl Get Visible with me today. Hey Akilah, how you doing?
Hi, Sally. How you doing?
I'm good. So we actually go way back. It's
Way
pretty
back.
5 years already, and I've only been doing this for a few years. So you've got a much deeper history than I do when it comes to online business. Why don't you give me a little bit of background in what you've done there?
Okay, so I'll do the the 30-second like journey of me. Um,
Okay.
and it's funny because you have a lot longer background because I started out in web and graphic design. This is even before we met. I used to do web and graphic design coming
Uh-huh.
out of college. It's like one of the things I studied in college, and I kind of freelanced for it and do some of it professionally, and it was just a web and graphic designer. And then I started getting into like the online business world. And I say it like that because it's just so vast and it was such a whole new world and like just opened up so many things. So
Mhm.
from that, I started coaching online retailers. And I think that's when we met. We met in another program, in Kimmer's program. And so at that time, I was coaching online retailers, and I have a site, which I still have today, Online Boutique Source. And from there, that evolved kind of almost back to what I was doing before, but more specific to only teaching about SEO and teaching about online visibility. So not just, well, a lot of SEO, but not just SEO, but just
Mhm.
overall talking about how to raise your authority and your credibility and how to pretty much raise your profile online for your business. And so I say it goes back because I never stopped doing SEO, especially for myself. Like one of the reasons why Online Boutique
Yeah.
was so successful is because I had such great traffic to it. It still ranks number one for a bunch of different keywords in a bunch of different places. And people would always ask me like, well, how are you getting traffic? Or what are
Mhm.
you doing? And so in that answering that question, it was like, well, I do this thing called SEO, and I'm an IT girl, pro and by trade. So I'm like,
Mhm.
thinking it's like a little nerdy. It's a little, no one really cares about that SEO
Oh,
nerdy thing.
technical.
Yeah, the little thing on the side. And so I was getting all this traffic, and then more and more my clients wanted to learn it too. And so I started teaching my retailers SEO, and then more and more, which I think is how we even work together, more and more people outside of retail were like, hey, we want to in on this SEO thing too.
Yeah.
So they started
Well,
asking.
and to clear up, SEO means search engine
Oh yeah, I didn't
optimization.
even go through
It
that, right?
basically means if somebody goes and searches certain words on Google or Bing or whatever, that they're going to find your website. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of technical aspects on the other end as a business owner that you have to do to make that happen.
Yes.
Yes, and you're a
So
pro at it. I've learned so much from you. I'm like, I do this and that, and I try to keep my keywords. I've learned a lot. Let's just
and
say that. Try to keep my
the
keywords up there.
And the good thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this. Hey guys, good morning. I see people joining.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey.
the good thing about SEO, which is why I love it, is that it's one of those build brick by brick kind of things. It's
Mm-hmm.
not all or nothing. So it's not like until you do all this great stuff, then you'll finally get some results. You can do some blog posts. You can start integrating your keywords. You can start adding in these things, and you build it brick by brick, but you at least start to see some of the benefits. Like you can put up a couple of bricks and get a wall, and now you at least got something to hang things on. You know what I mean? As opposed to some of the other ways and strategies that I know people talk about a lot, where it's like all or nothing. Either you get it or you don't. SEO
Mm-hmm.
is one of those things that you can get parts of it and then bring on and continue to just grow your profile, which again is why I was like, well, nobody really cares about that. It's so little on the side.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so that's my journey of me, like I said, in like a little bit more than 30 seconds, but in a quick view is that I kind of, started working online, moved to another part of online, and then kind of came back to where I was, which is where I am now. I wrote a book on SEO, and then I have
Mm-hmm.
a program
I have it.
on teaching. Yes, you do have it. You guys did a Kickstarter, right? So I
Yeah, I did
kickstarted
the
your book.
Kickstarter. I was in the very beginning of your
Yes,
thing,
I
and
appreciate that.
that was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2018. You actually,
Crazy.
it was September 2018. So
I remember
literally,
looking at that and I was just like, "Go, Akilah. I
yeah.
can't do that right now." I'm like,
And it's funny, like literally this year, I've been asked to speak a couple of times just on Kickstarter. A lot more people are getting more familiar with that and kind of looking at it as a way to fund projects. So we probably should talk about that one day. Do like a whole other live on how to fund stuff. But people are talking about it more. And you're right, it was almost 2 years ago now that I created the book, funded the book on Kickstarter, put out the book, and then I have all kinds of like now programs around supporting people as they continue to grow their SEO profile and grow their content and get out there.
Now, I've got a question for you. I'm online, honey. I've got a question for you about like your background as far as like where'd you go to college and what'd you major in, and you know, what were you thinking about when you first started thinking about your career? Because most people don't say, I'm going to go be an SEO specialist, which is obviously something many years later that came about. But tell us a little bit about that journey from the get-go.
Okay, good question. No one ever asked to go that far back. And no, I did not think I wanted to be an SEO person. But I did, and I always lean back to my college days, my degrees and stuff, because I do still use a lot of that. So where I went to school, I'm born and raised in New Jersey, Paterson, New Jersey. Okay. If you ever seen the movie Lean on Me, that'll give you the whole good context of that. Okay. And so I didn't go to that high school though. I always tell people I went to the other high school on the other side of town. But I went to Seton Hall University here in New Jersey, and I originally wanted to be a psychiatrist. I wanted to be a psychology. I went in as a psychology major, and I didn't do too well. But believe it or not, I'm not a big math or science girl. And so when I saw after I'd taken like a bunch of courses, and I saw all the math and science, I was like, oh, I got to figure out a way out of here. And so from that, I moved over. I changed my degree to communications with a concentration in PR and advertising.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, right. In addition to that, and I was really strategic, and this is like 90s, early 2000s. Like, so give you guys some context of how strategic this was, because it wasn't something people were talking about. But I also got a certificate. I had a lot of credits, so I had to figure out what to do with them all. But I used my extra, like all my electives, I used to get a certificate in information technology. Okay. So I've always been kind of techie. My dad always had computers going around. He was a little techie guy. And so I became a little techie kid. And so I always liked tinkering. Like I remember like BBS boards, like those bulletin boards where people used to just chat boards kind of things back in the day, way before AOL and all the other stuff. So I always had that interest, which is why I use, instead of, people using I remember folks were taking yoga for an elective. I was in there taking Front Page, which was like the old way.
Yes, I learned Front Page on my own.
Yeah, so I learned Front Page, Photoshop, WordPress before it became the WordPress we have now. So I learned a lot of that stuff in my undergrad years, just like I said, trying to figure out how to get out of psychology, because I didn't want to do that anymore. And then how to use all of these like electives to help and to supplement what I thought I was going to go into PR and advertising. I really thought that's where I was going. I was going to figure it out that way. And I got a lot of really good internships. For anybody who has people in college, and I know you have your kids in college, internships are it. I interned for like Philip Morris and Pearson Publishing, and my last internship, which was for Memorial Sloan Kettering, it's healthcare, but it's the #1 cancer center in the country. So I had some really good internships, which really helped to steer where I was going to go. And one of the things, I always tell this very convenient story, convenient how my life happened. My last internship, which was with Memorial Sloan Kettering, it was a 1-year internship. And they needed, I went through the whole year. So they knew I was kind of a little techie. They knew I knew some things about tech and stuff like that. I was with what they called their analyst team, which is like their IT part of their department. And they needed someone to build a website. In early 2000s now, right? So I took Front Page and some other little things, right? And so they needed someone to build, and not even like a website for the hospital, just an internal, an intranet website.
Like an intranet, internal only, not out there searchable. Exactly. And I don't even know what was searchable back then.
And so I happened to have the skill to be able to do that. And then I had done some other projects working with some people. And literally the week before my graduation, another analyst quit, which opened up the door for a new role. and they really needed someone. And although I was much younger than any of the other, like 20, 30 years younger than any other analyst, they needed someone who could do a website. And so that was God conveniently placing me in IT, apparently, for the rest of my life. And I wound up getting this job and staying with them for a number of years and moving through the ranks there. But the one thing I did that was, I think, again, pretty strategic and smart was I knew with a communications degree, it would be hard to finish my career in IT. So I went and got my master's. I have a master's in information systems from Stevens.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, I went real techie on them.
You did.
I got all the tech I could get. And so then I wound up getting that master's. And then from that, I've got like certifications in project management. I've got a PMP. I've got Agile. I've got all these other things that I kind of finished piling on to what I had. And that's also why I became a freelancer. You know, your usual, do something on the side of your job, but because I had these web skills, I had these web design and graphic skills, and now I had the IT management background going on too. And so that helped to what I was doing freelancing, and then just helped to kind of cultivate what I'm doing in life, and just kind of kept building. And one of the things that, and why I teach SEO more than I even like to do it, like for other people, is one of the things that I've always been pretty proficient at, and people seem to like, is how I explain tech things in a non-tech way. I've always been, whether it was like professionally or even at home, just like bridging that gap between things that people think is like way out there and beyond them, to bringing it to a level of something that it absolutely is for you. I tell it to people all the time. It's for you. If you want it, you can get it. But it absolutely is for you, and making it such that you can see it. You can see that it is for you. So one of the things I do a lot with SEO, people think it's this big technical thing. And I always joke it's one of the least technical things that I do, but it's really helping people to see that it is for them, that they can do it, that it's like, it's achievable, you know, all the good things, all the things that you need to know about that.
So speaking about who it's for, tell me a little bit about your community. Who's your wolf pack there, or your you know, your buddies or whoever that you hang out with that help you know, have your business?
Yes. So I always say my community, my tribe, like they're growing and they're changing literally with everything that I do, which I love. My primary focus is women entrepreneurs. So I focus a lot on women entrepreneurs. And part of that is because my primary focus is, like I just said, getting your voice out there, making sure that people understand what you do and how you help them. So that way you can get found in Google. And once you get found, you're the person that they are looking for. A lot of people, yeah, we can get you page one, but once you're page one, someone's got to click on that button and somebody's got to continue through the journey. So we don't want to just get you at page one. We want to get you page one for the right things. We want you showing up for the right things, and we want them to be authentic to you. A lot of, especially women, we feel like, oh, we need to know more, or we need to do more, or, you know, I need to have more experience in this before I can put it on my website. Who am I to be teaching these kind of things? And a lot of SEO is that. It's putting that type of stuff out there. It's putting that content that says that you are an expert in this space. You know what you're talking about. This is what you're talking about, and putting that somewhere that Google can find it and people can find it. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of my pride is based on that.
Yeah, but what's inspiring about that is that when you say, okay, I want to be a speaker, for example, go put it on your social channels and on your website and what have you, and say, I am a speaker. Yes. And figure it out. Because if you're prepared by showing the world that you are what you say you, or what you want to be, then when the opportunity comes, you're going to rise to the occasion to do what needs to be done, especially if it's something that you really want to be able to do. So how is it? Let's just think about like some of the ladies that you work with, and it's mostly ladies. You said female entrepreneurs. What are they selling? Are they selling things, or are they selling coaching? Because I know before you were doing the online boutique source, and that was mostly about boutique type businesses, but has that morphed for you over the last couple of years?
It's really more expanded. So I told people, like, when I went from online boutique stores to Girl Get Visible, that I expanded in one way of the type of businesses, and then I contracted another way of I only talk about how to get you traffic now, as opposed to building your whole business. So I still have my retailers, because retailers still find me through online boutique stores, and I have a special place in my heart for my retailers. So I believe that retailers being physical products, for those who are listening, but I believe that they should be marketing a lot of the ways that the rest of us are marketing. But now I also have more coaches, course creators, service-based businesses. I've got a lot of different, whether it's like life coaches, I have a therapist, I just did an interview. She's a wedding consultant, like comes in and helps you with your wedding and everything like that. And then she has some online programs, but really a lot of those type of people. And then where your physical business meets your virtual business is really a good place where you find me in the middle. Bringing in those things that you would be doing offline, or you would be doing like with one-on-one, and say, okay, how do we make this into your virtual online presence? How do we make this into something that's bigger or greater? Even if you still want to just get people locally, how do we make it into something that someone wants you locally because they see you globally?
So I've got a question about content around that, because obviously content is king. It's where you've got to be able to be visible. Girl Get Visible is not just about the technical aspects of these specific keywords. It's also about stepping out there and talking about something. Like if you're selling jewelry, for example, what would you tell somebody to be talking about in their content marketing?
So I, especially for any type of physical product, but jewelry is a good one. Jewelry, clothing, those things that people think aren't important. And not saying people overall, but I like a lot of times the retailers will be like, well, it's just, it's just earrings. It's just this, it's just that.
Whatever, yeah.
But behind every product is a feeling. It is a goal. It is something that a person wants to do. So my question would be like, why is your consumers buying this jewelry? Are they buying it because it's the latest trend? Are they buying it because they need some signature pieces? They're ready to like up level their lives. Are they buying it for a special occasion? So you figure out what are some of those reasons that are behind it. What are some of the feelings that are behind it? And those are the things that we talk about. So, and I like niching down a lot. So if somebody, think of LaShayla's business, and so say there's a jewelry designer, I would say, okay, are you going to do wedding jewelry? If you're going to do a jewelry designer and do wedding jewelry, and wedding jewelry is literally earrings and bracelet and necklace. Like there's nothing on them that says I do, it can be just, that's the niche you want to put them in. And so with the wedding jewelry, you want to talk about what are different styles that brides are using. What is the jewelry that goes with different dresses? What is the meaning behind some of those signature pieces? Giving somebody a personal meaning or personal experience is gold. People will always pay more for like the nostalgia of it all. So if I had jewelry, like mother-daughter jewelry to give to your maid of honor, all those things that are going to build those kind of nostalgic connections, and that is going to help your business. It's also going to help you in search, because when I'm looking for jewelry, never do I say, Google, give me jewelry.
Never. Right? No. What's funny is that I love too. You can there's so many stories you can tell on that front, on the wedding side. You could even be talking about the relationship, how they met. You could, whatever. You could do feature stories, all these different things, and really bring in pieces that people want to read because they just want to consume something entertaining.
Yes.
And that would be, even more so than just talking about like where this piece of whatever came from, this particular jewel or whatever. But then the other things that I love about the jewelry talk is like some of those businesses where they have nonprofits and they have these smaller places like in foreign countries, and they're making jewelry or they're doing things that are these local crafts. And then there's tons of story about the culture and what's happening in those places that you could be talking about that would so make people want to come and read your content, and then boom, there's your jewelry and you can buy it right there.
Yes. The important thing is, and this for any content, but especially like if you're doing content like this, is to make it connect to that person. Like telling the story. I remember when we were first started working together, you had like vacation stories on one of your sites. And I was like, okay, well, vacation stories are nice. People want to hear them, but how does it connect to that person? Right. So with you, you know, working with businesses, not just saying, oh, I did this vacation. I did this vacation because I made this amount of money, or I did this as like a treat to, you know, for a good launch, or I did this vacation. And while I was here, I scoped out places that I can do my next retreat, because your person is a business owner, and when they're reading, their frame of mind when they're coming to your site is about their business. So although, you know, yes, a business person does vacation, more importantly, when they're reading your stuff, they're thinking about their business. So you always want to make that connection. So if I had, you know, jewelry produced in a certain country or by a certain tribe, I wouldn't just highlight the tribe. I would definitely would, but I'd also highlight how, you know, wearing this shows you who you're aligned to, or wearing this shows, you know, that you are culturally sensitive, and getting it, not even just wearing it, getting it from the actual country where it is made shows that you're culturally sensitive, because that's what people, like, you know, coming to your site are going to think about. Like, okay, I want to make sure I'm culturally sensitive. I want to make sure I'm really representing my cause. How do you do that? By showing them the items that you can get directly from. Like, don't buy this kind of jewelry from one of the big retailers, because we don't know who made it. Let's be real, right?
Yeah,
but you wear it from this country, from my smaller store, who I work with the teams and the people who actually make this, then you know this is authentically coming from the area that you want to help the most. So those kind of things, as long as you can always take your story and tie it into how it's going to help them. People are very psychologically, and this is where my psych minor, my wanting to be a psychiatrist comes in, that I love buyer psychology. So when you think of buyer psychology and what makes people like trigger points and stuff, people are very self-centered to a point. Not in a bad way. I know we think of self-centered like, oh, that's not good. But in a good way, people want to have a connection. So people always look for what's in it, or where do I fit in it? So you can do that with your content, with any business, and you can say, okay, here's where you fit in it. Here's what's in it for you. If you can feed a little bit into that self-centered portion of everyone that everyone has, then you're going to draw more people to you.
Yeah, that's very,
like
very
a magnet almost.
Yep. And what's funny is that I did have some stories before. I've got a whole new blog now at this point, but I'm starting to add in a lot more things, obviously, with Shout Your Cause, which is like my platform at this point. So I'm moving in that direction. So does anybody ever come to you and says, I want to start a business, but I have no idea what to do it in? So they're starting not with the product or a course in mind, or even an outcome in mind. They just have a passion for something, some sort of platform, and they just don't know how to make a business out of it.
So I do get those people. And the good thing, being also, you know, a previous business coach, is that I can help steer them into finding the intersection of what's their passion and where do people need. It's almost a better place to be, because if you can start something with keyword research and looking at what are the things people are searching for, because that's all keywords are. Keywords, and for those who don't know what keywords are the words people are using to search. So if you understand what people are searching for, then you understand how you can help them, and then you understand how you can position yourself to get found for those things. It's all a circle. You know, they look, you put it there, and they find. You know what I mean? So it's all a big circle. So when I get someone who's like really passionate about something, I would help them walk through what are people already searching for right now, and then, you know, how competitive is that thing? Because that's the other thing. I see a lot of people, you know, like, oh, I'm going to start a t-shirt business. I happen to be wearing one now. I'm going to start a t-shirt business. Like, okay, that might be good for your cause, and you might actually like doing that, but is that the section where people really are in need? Is that the section where
nobody's going, I need a t-shirt that says this on it?
Yeah, like, you know, and the competition part of it, is that really like the best thing you can do? Like, one of the examples, I have a retail business, so I do have like a little side retail business, and one of the things I do greeting cards and business cards that are sorority specific. Right now, we're one sorority, my sorority. Really, because I just haven't expanded, but that was the goal of it. But that was not my original idea. My original idea was to do jewelry, ironically, still with the influence, because we have specific colors that we wear. So my goal was to do, it's called Color Me Finer. My goal was to do colors, like jewelry in color sets, almost like Charming Charlie used to do. And so, like, when we're looking for blue jewelry, or we're looking for red jewelry, we're looking for pink jewelry. That was my whole idea. I had this whole idea.
I like that though, because sometimes I'll be like, okay, I need blue earrings or a blue necklace or something, and that's what I'll go look for. So
yes, exactly. So that was my thought, that because I knew the whole retail thing, had wholesalers set up and had all this other stuff. And then I actually had like a little bit of a focus group, and definitely focus groups are good. So the focus group was like, well, you've got graphic design skills, which I do, and you've got already printing and stuff set up, because I used to do this. What's really needed in the market right now is stationery, really professional stationery, like cards and business cards, banners. I now do, really is professional stationery that there's no one else in the space. Everyone's selling jewelry. Everyone's, trying to hit us up with the different color jewelry.
With the sorority, they were saying that?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Because that was something that I remember, that was something you could buy back in the day for mine. So I don't know. I just don't.
Well, it's not as wide, and we're professional organizations. We're throughout like college and beyond.
Yeah.
So we've got different levels. We've got professional people. We have conferences. So people just want business cards that's got the logo and certain information on it. People want greeting cards just to send out happy birthday to one of our sororities. Actually, one of my sorors is on right now. Earlier, happy birthday to sorors, or thank you to sorors. Like that level of professionalism that we want to bring into our organization was just not readily available. So I'm not saying I'm the only person who does it, but it was much less of that available than there was jewelry. Jewelry was easy. And I'll admit, I wanted an easy thing, so jewelry was easy. But this other section of my skills, still my passion, still helping the same groups, the same organizations that I wanted to help, but it was a much more aligned space that wasn't so crowded. So if someone comes to me and just has nothing but ideas and thoughts and skills, then we look at those things. Where are the things where, again, you can fit? You may already have some resources that you weren't even considering. You can line them all up, and you can make this specific type of business using your skills, still helping the people that you want to help, and helping them in a greater way, because you're probably helping them with something that not a lot of people are already out there doing.
Now I like how you brought in the fact that you've got a sorority that you could, work with to create some sort of product for them. Now you celebrate Kwanzaa, right? And so have you ever incorporated anything in any of your businesses with Kwanzaa, or do you lean into that space at all?
So funny enough, I'm supposed to do that with Color Me Finer, because it's not just sorority, and it's not with my sorority. It's just I've talked to sorority sisters. Right. So it was designed to be about specific groups and about specific things. I just never got beyond the first one. So one of my goals for a couple of years has been to also do Kwanzaa inspired cards, because I swear I have the same fight finding cards for us too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To celebrate the holiday. Or even like last year, I went through great lengths to get decorations from my son's school. I decided for those who don't know about Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa is primarily, it's an African-American holiday that celebrates our culture, and it's 7 days and different principles. And it's literally starts the day after Christmas. And it's not a replacement, it's not a religious holiday, but it's a cultural holiday where you reflect on family and community, and pretty almost makes like your plans and your ideas for what you're going to do to continue to thrive throughout the next year. So I love the holiday. I teach my son about the holiday.
I like that. In fact, right now, with all that's going on in the world, the crazy COVID time and the Black Lives Matter movement and all the protesting and all the communities coming together to try to really create these programs. I love the fact that Kwanzaa is a celebration of this cultural thing, right? But also gets you back to the values of your family, and then to create a new beginning for the next year. I think that could be a really great educational piece for people. And that would also give a ton of content to be able to put out, because you could have any kind of business connected to something like that if Kwanzaa is in your repertoire of things that you do in your life.
Yeah, I actually have a post. So last year I did create a post on, because every year I publicly celebrate to help other people learn about Kwanzaa too. So I'm very public with my posts and everything.
That's why I know about it.
So you know, right? See, I'm helping. So last year I took my 7 days of posts. I usually do a post every day, and they were all last year more leaning towards entrepreneurs and how they can start incorporating the principles into their thoughts and their feelings. Like think of it a little bit like journal prompts, but more like journal prompts for the community, not just yourself. So I did and it's still on my site. I'll give you the link a little bit later, but I did a post on Kwanzaa for entrepreneurs. And so what we can reflect on, because each day has a principle and each principle has a different meaning. So there's like faith, there's purpose, there's collective works and responsibility, there's cooperative economics, there's creativity. I'm not going in order for anyone who knows. It's like, she's not in order. I'm not trying to, don't worry. But there's a principle for each one. And so I talk about how entrepreneurs can use that to reflect on, like you said, learning the culture and what's around them, but also using it to build on the future. And that's really what Kwanzaa is. Yeah. So yes, I do incorporate in that way. So there's some content around there. And then for Come We Find, I have wanted to do stationery, because last year, so I volunteered to be the mom to get the seasonal holiday decorations for the class. And I usually do this because it's a way to make sure we get Kwanzaa, right? Yeah. So I got, Christmas, Hanukkah, I got everyone's culture, but it was very hard, very, very hard to find Kwanzaa, and even harder to find all three holidays that were equally nice and equally represented. I actually want to find a company on Amazon, which I should find their name and shout them out, because they did have everyone and they all looked nice. Like it wasn't like huge Christmas tree and a tiny little Kanara and a tiny little menorah. So I really was very intentional about not just wanting to get the decorations and highlight it, but also make sure that it was equally represented, because I've always wanted my son to grow up a little different than I did. I went to school in a very diverse area, but it wasn't something people just weren't celebrating Kwanzaa. So when I was that age, I was like, and we didn't celebrate Christmas at that time when I was very young. And so I used to come home like, where's my holiday? Why is no one talking about my holiday? And it was always like an afterthought. So I was very intentional. I'm now very intentional. My son's 5, for those who don't know my son yet, but he's 5. But every year I'm like, okay, telling schools, you've got to celebrate Kwanzaa. You've got to celebrate it on the same level that you celebrate everyone else, because I don't want my son to come home and ask where's his holiday. I want him to feel just as good about his holiday as he does about her holiday and the next holiday. And we do celebrate Christmas too. So I want them to see them on the same par, because none of them are a replacement of each other. So that's another way I want to bring that into the business of, making sure that there are quality items out there for everyone.
Well, you know what's funny about this? I don't think I ever knew that Kwanzaa wasn't a religious connection. I didn't know it was just a cultural celebration. That's so interesting.
Some people bring their religion into it. Like I know churches that celebrate Kwanzaa. So we do bring religion into a lot of churches, like around that time you have like some type of history program or something. So it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be, but the basis of Kwanzaa is really the principles, and the principles do not reflect to any God. So any particular
religion or whatever.
And I say any God because it's not Muslim. It's not like it is not owned by any one religion. It really is cultural, and it's really more about knowing yourself, your community, your family, and like I said, principles, different levels, and it's really about that reflection around all of those. And so if your culture and your community and family are very religious based, then you would bring in more religion. And if they weren't, then you would bring out more religion.
What about food? Is there any kind of food that goes through the?
So there are everything's about food, right?
I love different kinds of food. So
there is a celebration at the end, a festival called the Karamu, which is like a big party festival in food. There are some foods, because you do set up like a Kwanzaa I'm going to say altar for lack of another word, but there is an altar, and you put like fruit for each of the children, and corn to represent something else. So there are some other things, some nuts, things like that, but you don't eat those. Like they literally just sit there.
Right, those are just there. They're
not there for the food. But then you have the festival, and a lot of the food is traditional Southern African American food. So things like
it would be good.
Yeah, definitely always good. But things like always some type of big meat. And I don't eat red meat and pork, so I don't like do the meats too much. Yeah. But always some type of big meat, and like black-eyed peas, especially since it's around New Year's, and that has a cultural significance for us. So black-eyed peas, collard greens, mac and cheese, all the delicacies that we love.
That's what we eat in the South.
yeah. So it's not, and you guys you're in the South, so to you they're like every day. To me, they're holiday food.
Oh, that's so funny. No, it's like my mom was like cornbread, onion, buttermilk. That was like a snack type of thing for her. Black-eyed peas. Okay, I loved at my grandmother's fried chicken, black-eyed peas, and raw onion.
Oh wow!
And cornbread.
See, I literally only make black-eyed peas, and people like in my family know, like, we're gonna get black-eyed peas because it's New Year's.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't ever know the dime thing when growing up, but when I got married, my husband's family always put a dime in the black-eyed peas.
I never put a dime in my black-eyed peas. We got to that.
Good luck, and I was just like, that wouldn't be good luck if you got that thing stuck in your throat.
That wouldn't be good luck because it's super unsanitary.
Right. Hopefully they wash the dimes first. I don't know. I'm not much on putting dimes.
But I could imagine like heating up metal and leaking it into your food. I've never heard the dime thing. You guys got to tell us in the comments if you know the dime thing, because I've never heard the dime thing.
Lee Lewis called you a sharp lady. So
Thank you.
Lee lives in Memphis, and I grew up with her in West Tennessee, singing on stage, kind of a thing. So she grew up. She was singing with my sister. So anything else that you want to share, like tell us your website or something if people want to get in touch with you. And this was more about just getting to know each other a little bit more beyond the business stuff, but also how to incorporate the business part into it. And, you've always been somebody who I've looked up to. You did the book, and you've got a podcast, and you do all the things. And I'm always going, oh, if Akilah's doing that, then I need to do that. So
well, that's the thing, I guess. I feel like I'm pushing people, which it's, and I'm glad you said that, because that really is my goal. I really do want to be an inspiration for anyone, and not necessarily do what I did, but or do it the way I do it, because again, we all, like I said in the beginning, we all have our level of expertise, we all have our things, we all are doing amazing things. I'm honored to be your inspiration, but I really want more women, more of us to think of how we can be inspirations, and that we can do it. Like, not that, oh, she's doing it and I can't do it, or they're getting this and I can't do that. Like, that's one of the differences I learned with entrepreneurship and moving more into entrepreneurship, is that it's not a pie. Not everybody, you don't only get a piece and there's only but so much to go around, that it really is
way beyond the pie.
You really can do so many things. There really is, we really got to get way, way up there for it to feel any way like somebody else is taking from me. You know what I mean? So, it's not a pie that you only have a set amount, but there are infinite possibilities, and there are infinite amounts of things that you can do, amounts of people that can follow you and be your tribe. We talked about, who do you work with? Who's your tribe? Just because we may have similar doesn't mean that we can't have, like, you can't do what you're doing and I can't do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be people who really want to talk to me. There's going to be people who really want to talk to you. There's going to be people who like the different styles. Like, even my book, you know how many SEO books are on Amazon?
Oh, probably a lot.
Yeah. But yet I still make sales. Even though I don't push the book in Amazon, I still get sales all the time, which tells me that although there's so many, there's still room for me. And so I guess if I was to leave with anything is just letting people know that, you know, although there's so many, or it feels like there's so many, that there's still room for you. It's just a point of you getting it out there, putting it out there, being that inspiration to someone and sharing it.
And putting your own spin on it, because you're unique, and you can do anything that you want to do. I mean, my story is way different than your story, and anybody else, and so it's going to appeal to different people in different ways. So
I never knew the dime thing.
Well, that's not even my story. I married into that one.
You married that story, but
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad we got to catch up again, and I hope to see you hopefully in the future at some sort of live event.
Yes.
Someday when we can all get back together and travel again. I'm ready for that.
But speaking of events, because I think are you doing the workshop with me next week? Okay, am I putting you on the spot? Okay, sorry. So I've got a workshop happening next week. Speaking of events, and it's in my group and you know, email and stuff, so you'll get links and stuff. But it's called the Girl Get Visible Workshop. We'll be talking through a strategy to help people get out there, get found, and get visible, which is my tagline. And so,
give me a link. I'll stick it right here in the comments.
girlgetvisible.com/workshop.
girlgetvisible.com/workshop. Easy enough. I just put it in the comments.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
You guys can join me at my virtual event, because yes, we aren't doing physical yet, but I can't wait until we can again.
Yes, awesome. All right, I'll talk to you later, Akilah. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye.